me on this talk about Ukrainian EU B2B relationship with usage of electronic signatures. I'm a board member of National Standardization Body of Ukraine and responsible for standardization of digital signatures in Ukraine. So a part of this, I'm also like cycling and help Ukrainian government to join European Digital Single Market Initiative as part of our Ukrainian initiative. Also, I am board member of State Digital Archive that is responsible in Ukraine for document management and both in electronic and paper formats. Before going to the electronic signatures, I would like you to do a quick introduction into Ukrainian digital signature market. It's a market that currently issued 14 million certificates, and 20 million of these certificates are issued free of charge by state-owned companies. The biggest one is a bank called Privat Bank. It issued around 8 million of signatures to the citizens. The second one is state-owned company that owned by Ministry of Digitalization, and the third one is the tax authority of Ukraine. The majority of these certificates are issued free of charge, but you need to buy qualified signature creation device tokens on your own. This is why around 70% of these tokens are issued to their non-qualified signature devices on simple flashes. And this is why a lot of signatures in Ukraine are advanced signatures and not qualified signatures. Another point that I would like to highlight is the usage of Ukraine in Ukraine, their local cryptographic suite that is using USSR algorithm for hashing and local Ukrainian algorithm, this 24145 for local cryptographic transformation, and only less than 1% of the signatures in Ukraine is using international cryptographic algorithm like ECDSA and even not RSA yet. So a part of going locally, government has a plan to provide the businesses an alternative. Its alternative is based on the ASIC digital signature format. ASIC stands for Associated Signature Container. It's a European standard that was approved as a Commission decision, and in Ukraine it's approved by the um, regulation issued by Ministry of Digitalization as the main format for digital signatures that are used for the electronic document creation. So ASIC is a zip archive, and you can create it using standard features of LibreOffice. It's an open source Office software or Microsoft Office, and it's rather easy. You need to use ODF format, Open Document Formats. It's an alternative to DocX format, and use a standard procedure to apply signatures in Libre or Microsoft Office. This feature is available in File menu. And because ASIC is a zip archive, you also can use any other documents like PDF in order to sign the documents. You simply put these documents into zip archive and use third-party tools in order to apply the signatures. I would like to quick dive into the ASIC. So ASIC, it's a European standard that has two parts. The first part describes the core of the standard. The second one describes ability to use ASIC in other data formats, also including ODF, Open Document Format. And ASIC, it's a zip archive that on the picture you can see can contain any type of the documents, even machine readable documents like XML, JSON, etc. The main benefit for this format that you can use the documents itself without even have ability to work with internet if you do not need to validate the signature. So you can be on the go or in airplane, do the job, and then validate the signature or apply the signature to the documents. And because it's a zip archive, it can be used with other formats and ODF, open document format, and even docx format, also zip archive. You can rename these files on your local computer and dig into their contains and content, and they're mainly XML files, images, etc. So this is why it's very powerful. ASIC is a very powerful format that gives ability to do the business for small and medium enterprise in order to conduct their paperwork, and also used by corporate clients because, for example, it provides ability to sign the documents in parallel. So you can sign the same document in parallel and then combine any amount of signatures and seals into one signed document. So after defining the format of the electronic documents and digital signature container, the next step for Ukrainian government and businesses was to define the life cycle of this electronic document. And on this picture, we will go from the start to the end of the electronic document to understand this life cycle. So from the start, we need to have a qualified signature creation device that stores your private key for your signatures and seals. And this device is responsible for applying signatures to electronic documents. In future, after EIDAS 2.0 regulation, there will be definitely RSS services, remote signature services, that will be providers of the signature value or containers, but in general, the workflow will not change. So upon the creation of electronic document, there will be ability to apply timestamp. It's a trusted time that could be applied both upon the creation of the document or upon the validation of this document. Before sending document to your counterparty, maybe you would like to validate the legal power of your signature and seals. And for this part of the life cycle, responsible other service called validation service. And this service uses not only cryptographic checks, but also policies in order to validate signatures and seals on your document. Next step is to send this document to your counterparty, and a part of good scenarios we try to include in the scope malicious scenarios with malicious actors when counterparty would like to ignore your document or pretend that it does not exist. And in this case, you can use the registered email trust service that gives you proof of sending and receiving of the documents by your counterparties. The next step, also upon the receiving of your document by the counterparties, there is need to validate your digital signatures and seals, and maybe do the extension of the signature. Extension of the signature is required to store your document longer than the lifespan of your certificate. And it's crucial for Ukrainian businesses because in Ukraine, according to the legislation, there is, let's say, two categories of the documents with uh, uh, lifespan and long lifespan. So for the first one, it's upon under 10 years. You can use signature extension to add additional validation data in order to prove the document signatures and seals validity in the future. But less than 10 years. If you have documents, for example, related to the employment, you need to store this document for 75 years in Ukraine. In this case, there is need to use eArchive trust service that will applies the eArchive timestamp to the document in order to prove the legal status of signatures and seals on these long-lived documents. But Ukrainian state digital archive only working on this service and tries to build the infrastructure for storing our archive electronic documents. And the last service that is useful also in providing trust to this infrastructure is a trust service related to the website certificate that gives you ability to legally bind the specific website to the legal entity in order to add additional layer of trust to, for example, online validation services. And this life cycle gives ability to educate both businesses, their counterparties and government in order to understand to have common understanding how to work with electronic documents. And at this stage, it's not it's also applicable to the cross-border scenario. So at this stage, there is not enough to use standard PDF or Word documents to conduct an international business and even internally in Ukraine. And you need to find the balance between the trust and security and the freedom for the business. And in my opinion, the EIDAS regulation gives you ability to find this balance, and it also provides tooling to that can be used by both small and medium enterprise, like open source office packages, and corporate sector, like ASIC format that could contain PDF and machine readable data to build rather complex pipelines to conduct business locally and especially with European entities, because we share the same regulation regarding to digital signatures. And the good news from Ukraine that National Bank of Ukraine, that also responsible for regulating digital signature market, is preparing their statement on approving European qualified trust service providers on the Ukrainian in Ukrainian legislation. So it will be possible to treat European signatures and seals in Ukraine as they were issued in Ukraine from the Ukrainian trust service providers. That also will remove one barrier for international trade between Ukraine and EU. Uh, if you have any questions, ideas, feel free to reach me on the social media. I also published on YouTube channel their course that goes a little bit in the details into the life cycle. Also, it has a practice how to use ASIC format with mobile ID in order to create electronic documents. And also it's very interesting for me to hear your feedback about the life cycle and approach that Ukrainian governments try to introduce for the businesses inside the Ukraine and for our international partners. So thank you for watching, and feel free to contact me.